Okay, so I was reading this book again the other day, and one sentence in particular literally hit me like a brick to the head. And in my younger days, if I would have known this, I can't even imagine how much it would have changed my life. Have you ever hit a midlife wall where money, status, and the pursuit of more stuff just seems kind of empty and it just doesn't give you, the juice that it used to? Well, good old Carl Jung here, who was an amazing genius, kind of calls it a bit of a meeting hole and says that there is a ladder and a way out to a better life. That's what we're going to talk about today, and this is mind-blowing stuff. Hey there, I'm Steve. Grew up poor, then became a millionaire before I was 30, and then threw that life away. It wasn't giving me what I truly wanted, so I went on a 20-year journey to figure out what was really fulfilling in life. And this channel is all about sharing that with you so that you can get the ultimate life that you want. If you like that, and if you like the raw, unfiltered truth, then you're in the right place. Okay, so I was reading this book again the other day, and one sentence in particular literally hit me like a brick to the head. And the hole that it left in my skull opened my mind up to my past and to one of the key answers I was looking for in my 30s, and that took me 20 years to figure out. And maybe you're asking the same questions right now and looking for answers. And so what I loved about this sentence was that it showed me that there was a way out. And in my younger days, if I would have known this, I can't even imagine how much it would have changed my life. If you're asking the same questions, this is going to be huge for you. Like ridiculously huge. That's why I'm so excited to make this video. And here's the quote: "No psychic value can disappear without a replacement of the equivalent in intensity." In other words, if you have values that have guided your life, even if you're unaware of them, they're very, very internal, they're very subconscious. Once these no longer give you value, if they are not replaced by something that is the equivalent, then you're completely lost. You're screwed, in fact. Now, Carl Jung didn't say that. I'm the one that's saying you're screwed because I've been there and I was screwed. And so let me explain to you what I mean by that. I quickly and decisively built a business in my 20s and threw all of my energy into it because I believed this was my dream. I wanted to own a clothing company. I wanted to design shoes and clothing and all this other stuff. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I thought that, being rich and having a big company would satisfy all of my childhood dreams. And so I built that. And it worked out really, really well, really, really fast. And I came to that, what I thought was like the top of the mountain. And I looked around and I really just wasn't fulfilled and I wasn't happy. And I was like, oh, is this it? Because this really isn't giving me what I want. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted. So what did I do? Well, with the typical intensity that I have in everything in my life, I decided to destroy it all, ruin it so that I could do something else. The problem was I didn't know what else to do. That was the only mission. Those are the only values that I had. They were society's values, get rich, be successful, get married, have a family, buy a bunch of houses, get a bunch of cars, get a bunch of vacations, and then just keep going, grow your business. But that wasn't giving me the juice anymore. And so I just decided to destroy it. And what it left me was a hole, because previously I had filled that hole with all these other things, and you can call them distractions, but they're also very natural elements of a young life and how we, go into the external world and we build these things, essentially to kind of like fill that hole. But once I threw those things out, then my hole was empty and I didn't know what to fill it with. And so then I really just went on like partying and really trying all these novelties and shallow stuff, and nothing worked. And then eventually I was pointed in a direction, joined something called the Ark of Brotherhood, and started doing this sort of like conscious relationship courses. And I started to slowly find what I call a ladder to dig myself out of this hole. And so in the next components of this video, I'm going to explain to you what that ladder looks like. So if you're in this position, you can use it to dig yourself out of your hole way faster than I did. Okay, so before I talk about the 5 steps, I want to be very, very clear. These next steps are what I used to create a vision for the second part of my life and to recreate that motivation and that internal drive that I had in my youth. Now, the difference is, unlike the testosterone-filled, angry kid that was going for the external validation in my youth, I had to actually change and become a much more calmer, sort of efficient, emotionally intelligent, and conscious version of myself in order to be able to fulfill that second half of life. So it's actually as simple as that. Replace the values, fill the hole, great life. But this is also the most challenging part of your lifetime. It's a different challenge. And knowing what you are doing and why makes it all the more clear. And this is what I really love about that statement. And so that is why each of these next steps are so uniquely important. They are the building blocks for your second half of life. And you're pretty much on your own here. Society is less likely to reward you for it. So you are going to have to build your own internal reward system so that you can stay on track and feel fulfilled. So you are going to need all of your experience and resources to become who you are, as Nietzsche would say, individuate, as Carl Jung would say, or even self-actualize, as Maslow would say. So with all that in mind, let's talk about the steps in your ladder. So these first steps, what are they? Well, actually, they're kind of categories, and I call them life categories. There's your work or your finances. There's your mental and emotional health. There's your physical health. Then there are your relationships. And number 5 is your purpose or your passion pursuits. And these essentially compose all of your life. But I've broken them down into 5 categories and 5 steps because that's what's really worked for me. So, step 1. What is your current work costing your soul? Is it something that that used to energize you, but now you're just like feeling kind of empty? Maybe it's no longer like, you've got the money, you're satisfied there. Maybe you fulfilled it like I did with my business. I was like, I did everything I wanted to do and I was like, yep, I'm done with this. I don't have any urge to grow it bigger. I'm looking for something that fulfills me a little bit deeper. And so that's the question you have to ask yourself is, in that number 1 step, is your work, and are you just doing something for a paycheck? Or are you doing something to make money that essentially just kind of erodes at your guts and erodes at your soul and doesn't give you the energy that you want, the fulfillment that you want in your life? So maybe you're in the distraction phase where, you're stressed or you're numbed out or you're trying to distract yourself on various social media platforms. What you might want to try is getting a journal and actually writing down, what do you dislike about what you're doing right now? What makes you happy? What makes you fulfilled? What do you really want in this area of your life? What is something that would be a challenge in this area, but actually you're kind of nervous about trying? And now if you're saying the money, helps you run your lifestyle and you're in financial straits or you need the cash and therefore you're forced to work, maybe you should look at your life and look at your expenses and how can you minimize those so you don't have that stress, so you don't have that pressure? Do you need to have a brand new car? Do you need to have fancy gadgets all the time? Do you need to spend all this money on, takeout? I found that I stopped eating out and I started cooking meals at home, and eventually I even grew my own garden. And that, for some reason, made me really feel amazing that I was growing something. And that was a bit of a turning point in my life. And so I really saw that I could minimize my expenses and that I didn't have the pressures of trying to earn as much. And I could relax and really think about what I wanted in this category. And step number 2, or category number 2, is your mental and emotional health. And the question here really is, how good are you at controlling your emotions, your anger, your frustrations? How good are you at thinking about what you want to do and then executing and acting on it? Are you filling your life with good information, good books, good media that motivates you and gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, and good stories that motivate you? And also, this rung on the ladder is kind of about facing some of the dark stuff as well that most of us have in our emotional past. And that's like really digging out the stuff that might be keeping you back, that might be adding frustration and grief or anger to your life and hurting some of your relationships. This is the inner work that you want to start doing so that you can release maybe these trapped up traumas or emotions, and you can have a more free mental and emotional capacity to really look at your life in a clear, clean, focused way. Now, rung number 3, or category number 3, is your physical health. So, how's your body holding up? A lot of us, and it happened to me, get super stressed out. We focus on work, we focus on money, and then our health, our diet, our exercise, all of that stuff starts to fade, and then you end up with less energy, with more health problems. And now for me, I've been through it all: burnout, depression, heart attacks. So physical health isn't about looking jacked. It's about really just paying attention to having a healthy lifestyle. Even if you're just walking or taking a run, or if you're doing yoga, or you're doing exercises that keep you active, keep you fit, keep your heart going, keep the blood rushing, those sort of things that really clean out your system, a healthy diet. All of these things can help you have more energy so that you can approach life with that high level of energy, and you can problem solve. Your mind's going to be healthy. You're able to be more focused and more clear when you have a healthy physical body. So the question for you is, how are you maintaining that right now? Step 4 is your relationships. And these are intimate relationships, family, friends, community. And the question for you really is, who's got your back? How are these relationships supporting you and challenging you in honest, productive ways? And so who are the people around you, and how are they contributing to your life? And that's why for me, I joined something called the Arca Brotherhood, which is a men's group, and it challenged me and it gave me a good community to help me stay on track. And I think that is what we lack today as well in our society, is good community that helps you in life in general. And so the real question for you is, how are your relationships? Do they help you or do they hinder you? Do they give you energy or do they take your energy? Hey there, before we go any further, if you really like the videos that I'm creating, then please share them with your friends. And also, if you want to support the channel, you can donate. There's a thanks button below here. I really appreciate your support, and it will allow me to keep making more and more of this in-depth content. Now back to the video. Step number 5, which is purpose or passion pursuits, is really about, what's your true life calling? When you get to that point where you're in that hole, that's what your guts are asking you. What is the next step on that ladder that's going to get you out of that hole completely and into the sunlight and balance and off into your life, making it the best thing that you can? And so this is a really important aspect of your life. And you can do things I started coaching entrepreneurs and leading men's groups. Not only did it help me, but it also fulfilled the need to, give back in life, to really help other people realize their goals. And that just felt really, really good at a deep level. And so I keep doing that, and I really, really enjoy it. But you might have a creative pursuit. It might be art. It might be a craft. It might be a musical instrument. It might be some sort of skill that you've always wanted to master. This is the realm where you can ask those questions, and you really want to listen to the answers that come up from deep down. And you also want to make sure that you're not answering these questions with external validation. Are other people going to see me as this because I'm doing this? Am I going to make more money because I'm doing this? All of these will lead you down the wrong path. You really want to tap into your inner gut and feel what it's telling you might be your next path. And so this rung on the ladder is about living for something greater than just yourself. It's about what could be your gift to the world. Okay, so here's the kicker. Your meaning hole is not your downfall. It's your opportunity to take what no longer works for you and instead figure out what your soul wants. Your ladder, work, mind, body, relationships, purpose, is your path to a life that is yours, not society's. So I'm asking you, what does your ladder look like? What is the first rung on the ladder that you want to grab? So your ladder out of the whole, work, mind, body, relationships, purpose. That's your way out. And the easy thing to do with that is rate them, each one of those, out of 10, and see which one is the lowest number, and that's the first one you want to work on. So if this stirred something in you, then drop a comment. Tell me what rung you're going to start first on your ladder. I read all the comments. Hit subscribe for more unfiltered wisdom. So until next time, get out that ladder. Let's start climbing.